Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. This month we are going to try something new. We are going to be doing a no spend challenge. If you're new here, my name is Millie and welcome to my channel. Basically, I've just come back from a week-long trip to Japan and I thought it was time to do a bit of a financial reset, just get back on track and hopefully try get my savings up a little bit again. Now, basically the concept of a no spend month is obviously what the title says. So the aim is to spend no money throughout the month. Now, obviously, we are all human. That is not physically possible to spend nothing because we have to eat, we have to pay our rent, and there's just general life expenses that you just can't get away with not paying. So we've got to have some rules and some exceptions for this challenge. So let's go straight through them. So I've got my rules written out here. So rule number 1. No clothes, no makeup, no hair stuff, none of that business. Anything that is not essential, we will not be buying it. So that pretty much rules out that entire category pretty much. Rule number 2, no takeouts, which is going to be tough, but no takeouts, no restaurants, so no eating out, and no coffees. I mean, I don't actually personally drink coffee, so I don't think I'll struggle with that. But if I just go on like a coffee date with a friend, I'm not going to be buying myself a drink there. So that is rule number 2. So that basically also means that we're going to be eating at home for all of our meals and not spending any additional money on food. In that regard as well, I am going to stick to, hopefully I'll set a budget for what I want my weekly food shops to stay under. I typically do that anyway, but we're going to see if we can play around with that a little bit. And just to preface that as well, I'm not going to let myself cheat and just add loads of stuff into my food shop each week that shouldn't really be in there. So we're going to be sticking to like a food plan and the regular things that we actually buy and consume on a weekly basis. So that means no luxuries, no buying things just because I fancy it. We're going to stick to our routine. Rule number 3 is no nights out or paid activities. So basically no cinema, no tennis, any of those sorts of things that I was doing for like a social aspect that involve spending money, we're not doing them anymore. Obviously, still need to have a social life over the next month and still need to see my friends and everything like that, but we're going to try to do different activities that are cheaper and more budget friendly. I say cheaper, that are free and budget friendly so that we can stick to our challenge. And number 4, which I guess kind of ties into number 1, is no beauty treatment. So no nails getting done, no hair, no treatments, no skin treatments, no nothing. Now that we've got the rules laid out, let's talk about some exceptions. Like I mentioned earlier, life still goes on, we've still got bills to pay, so here are my exceptions that I will be spending money on this month. So number 1 is going to be my food. Obviously every week we do a grocery shop, so I'm still going to be doing that. I live with my partner, he is not participating in this challenge, and we do a joint food shop each week, so it's not really fair for me to limit his food. And also just touching on that, I eat very healthy most of the time. I try to eat a high protein diet with lots of vegetables and fruits, and obviously that just costs money and I'm not willing to sacrifice my health during this period. So groceries are still going to be getting spent on. Number 2 are my rent, bills, etc. So obviously the rent for the place that I live in, my electric bill, my phone bill, any of those things that again you just have to pay for as part of life, they will still get paid. Number 3 is public transport. Now, in general, I don't take a ton of public transport anyway, and this also includes my car expenses as well. But again, I don't tend to drive many places anyway. But if I'm already not doing lots of social activities, I still want to be able to take public transport so I can at least meet people, places, and do those sorts of things. So that is allowed on my list. Number 4 is the gym. Like I mentioned earlier, I try to live quite a healthy, active lifestyle. I'm also in a contract with my gym, so I couldn't just stop it for the month if I wanted to. But I'm going to continue with my gym membership, and that way I can still do my Pilates classes and just kind of gives me something to do that I'm saying is free, but like is already paid for, if you get what I mean. And at number 5, the last thing on my exceptions list is any subscriptions. So by this, I basically mean like Netflix, Binge, any of those sorts of things that we've already got set up. I'm not going to go cancel them for the sake of this challenge. So just touching on why I decided that I wanted to try this challenge. Now, firstly, I've just come back from a week in Japan, which obviously was just as any holiday usually is. It was an expensive trip. I spent a lot of money. I really enjoyed myself. I don't regret it at all, but it's just time that we recoup a little bit from that. The second reason, if you have watched my Q1 review of my goals video, which I will link now if you wanted to go and watch that, is I mentioned that I do have a savings goal that I wanted to hit in 2024. And at the time of filming that video, I was not on track to hit my savings goal. And I think I'd almost maybe like given up on thinking it was attainable, but I don't want to have that attitude. I want to give it all I've got, and if that means cutting back for periods of time to boost my savings and get my savings to where I want them to be, then I'm up for the challenge. The third reason is I've really got it in my head at the minute that I want to buy a house. Obviously, like right now I'm in a rented apartment, and if any of you are familiar, Sydney is like one of the craziest, most expensive places to try and buy in the world probably. So we've got a tough challenge to set for us, and I want to be able to afford to buy a place in the next couple of years, I want to say. So that's kind of like my motivations behind doing this. I also just love doing anything that sort of challenges myself, something new, and I love learning about finances and improving my finances and all things like that. Now, with all of that being said, today is the 31st of May, so June officially starts tomorrow, which is going to be the start of this challenge. Now, every week I usually do a food shop that we get on a Sunday, so my first task of today, basically to set us up, is to have a look through my fridge, my freezer and my cupboards, see what we've got in the house, make an inventory, and then basically plan what meals we're going to have this week and try to utilize everything we've already got in the house. So to give you guys an overview as to what we currently have to work with, we have some yogurt, which is actually going out of date today, but I'm going to use those to make pizzas at some point this weekend. Then we've got some passata, some jam. This is the yogurt that my partner likes to eat, so I don't really eat any of that. We have some butter, some cream, some tomato paste at the back, some spread, some garlic mince. Then we've got like a bunch of different like curry, what are they called? Curry paste at the back there. Then we've got some eggs. This is actually just some chocolate birthday cake that we are going to eat today. Then we've got some cheese, we've got mozzarella, we've got cheddar, and then we've got this like burger sandwich cheese as well. And we've got some parmesan too. Then down here, this is pretty empty. This is usually where we would keep our meat. However, like I said, we're due for a food shop, so we don't have that much in. So we've got some chicken mince that we're going to eat for dinner at some point this weekend. Then we've got some bacon pieces, which are going to go in the meal with the chicken mince. And then this is just some chorizo salami for pizzas that I'll make this weekend. And then randomly, we just have this one packet of gnocchi, which has actually been in here for quite a while, and we just haven't eaten it. And down here we've got just some like random like alcohol bits, which we probably won't be using this week. And then this drawer is just like a mess. I need to clean this out, but we've got some spring onions and some regular onions too. Then we've got just like a random bunch of sauces and stuff, and then just some milk. Now looking in the freezer is a mess. Now I would have loved to have done this challenge as just as one food shop for the whole month, but we don't have that much freezer space, as you can see. But anyway, really quick overview. We've got frozen fruits, we've got some mashed potato, we've got veggies, we've got sweet potato chips. All of this is basically all different types of chicken, so we'll be utilizing what we've got in there. We've got some burgers, we've got some ice creams, we've got more chicken, we've got more veg. So I'll be doing an inventory of what is there and then figuring out what we can use to make meals this week. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys to death with literally going through every single thing in my house, but basically we're going to have cereal, and then this is just like day-to-day things that you use, like oils, sauces, etc. So obviously if something runs out, we'll have to replenish it, but we've got quite a bit going on in there. And then the only other thing really is, this is like our snack cupboard. Really, it's just these rice cakes that we eat with our lunch every day. So we'll be continuing to buy those. And then in here, I'll do a stock take as well. So this is basically all of like our rice, all of our pasta, noodles, etc. So all of like carbs basically that can go with meals across these two shelves. So again, I'll be making an inventory as to what we've got in here and seeing what we've got to work with. It is June 1st. It is the first day of our challenge. We are excited. It's actually like lunchtime, so I'm just about to make some lunch. But so far today, we have spent $0. And I think that the day will end that way as well. So basically we're going to have we've got some leftover ingredients in the fridge, so I'm going to use those up to make something for lunch today. And yeah, yesterday I basically ended up doing my sort of like stock take of everything we've got in the house, and we actually have like a good chunk of food still left in the house. We've got tons of frozen chicken. I say tons, we've got some frozen chicken, heaps of pasta, we've got some noodles, so there's just like a lot of ingredients basically that we can work through. It's also pouring with rain today, and it's forecast to pour with rain tomorrow as well, so those sorts of days anyway, it's quite easy just to stay home and watch TV, so hopefully it'll be pretty easy. I was so hungry, so I tucked in already, but I basically just used leftover onion, mince, some pasta that we had in the cupboard, and some cheese that we had left over, and made whatever you would like to call this. Then I'm going to watch some at Gilmore Girls and honestly just have like a really chill day. Today is June 8th, and this morning I basically went to a run club, which was actually kind of like an event. So technically this did cost me $62. However, I did pay for it last month, so it doesn't really, well, it doesn't count towards this month's spending, but basically the $62 counted towards like the actual event. We got breakfast included, and we got like a bag full of like gifts basically. So yeah, that was pretty much what I've done this morning. And then this afternoon, my plan is I'm going to go to a Pilates class. It's a very exercise filled day. I have noticed that because I'm trying not to spend money, exercise is obviously like a good way to just like sort of not pass the time, but just have something to do. So I've been doing a lot of Pilates classes, and I'm finally starting to get back on the running train as well. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Good morning. Excuse everything that is happening right now. It's currently 6 in the morning. I'm speaking quietly because Stephen's still in bed, but today is the 16th of June. It's actually my dad's birthday today, so happy birthday, Dad. But anyway, I'm up this early. Well, actually I've been up since 4 a.m. because I wasn't sleeping very well. Sometimes I get really bad back pain, so I've actually been up since 4. But my food shop just arrived for the week, so we're officially like halfway through the no spend month, and I feel like so far it's been going okay. We did cheat just a little bit yesterday, not really intentionally. Basically for dinner yesterday we were gonna have burgers, and I had the burgers in the freezer, so I had defrosted them, and then by the time they'd like defrosted, the meat on the burgers just didn't look quite right. Like it looked a little bit off, so to be honest we didn't really want to risk eating that, so we did get a Domino's. But that is all okay. We're allowing it because we had to eat something, and it was like $40 between the two of us, so like $20 each. But yeah, food shop this week came to $178, so good morning. So Stephen's awake. Basically, like the bell, like the alarm for our apartment when somebody rings up is so loud. Like I reckon it wakes up the entire block. It's like the loudest doorbell I've ever heard in my whole life. But yeah, this food shop was about $170. I feel like the cost of food has definitely gone up, because even though like we're using stuff from the freezer and stuff we've got in the cupboards, my food shops don't seem to be dropping that much in price. Like I usually try to keep it below 200. So anyway, I've got to put this all away now. It is still June 16th, and we're about halfway through the month now, which is pretty good. We really don't have that long to go, just 2 weeks, and I feel like we're doing pretty good so far. I actually haven't been updating my I've got a spreadsheet basically that tracks all of my daily expenses, and I tend to update that with a bit of a lag, only because obviously in your bank account when something comes out, it goes out as like authorized, and then it goes out as processed, and then it like jumbles all the dates around. So anyway, I just like to wait until everything has gone through as processed, and then I'll update my spreadsheet. So I actually right now don't know how much I've spent this month. However, I'm pretty sure it's less than what I usually spend, because I really haven't been doing very much. But the reason I actually just wanted to jump on here right now, because we've obviously reached this halfway point, I actually popped into the library this week. I think I've mentioned maybe on this video, maybe on another video, that I've been reading this book here called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and I loved this book. I feel like this year actually I've had a really bad run of what would you call this, like self-improvement, books that teach you things basically. I've had a really bad run with books that teach you things, and I haven't really enjoyed any of the ones that I've read, and this completely changed my opinion on that, and I feel like just got me back on the right track. I'm definitely going to read it again at some point because I feel like there's a lot of new information in there that, you know, I can't retain it all just from one read. So I'll definitely read that again, but I would highly recommend if you're into this sort of stuff. And then these are the books that I picked up from the library. So the first one I got is this one called Smashed Avocado. Oh, my battery is about to die. Okay, we are back with a new battery. As I was saying, I picked up a few books. The first one being this one here called Smashed Avocado, and pretty much this is about how this person cracked the property market, and you can too. I picked up two other books. I picked up this one here, which is called Increasing Your Financial IQ. This is the guy that wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, which you guys might have heard of. I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably might have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but that was like the first book that I read that really changed my perspective on money, really, like money in general, and of course the housing market and the property market, because prior to reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was so convinced that like everybody else is, like a lot of people are, that I wanted to buy my dream house and, you know, blah, 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 all of those things. And he obviously talks in that book quite famously about how actually owning the property that you personally live in is usually more of a liability than an asset. And it really just changed my mindset, which is obviously why I'm looking at rent vesting. So buying a investment property that I rent out and then just continuing to rent in the suburb that I actually want to live in. And the good thing is, because I don't have many plans at the moment, I've got time to be reading a lot. So I actually started this final book already, and I'm like 100 pages in. I started this yesterday, and to be honest, I probably won't be able to finish it all today, but I reckon it won't take me very long to get through it. But this one is called Property with She's the Money, and I've read the original book just called She's the Money by the same author, and I really actually liked that book as well. I feel like it was simple, but it had tools that I could actually implement, and I still implement and still use to this day, so that's pretty good. But she's kind of just talking through, and actually what I like about this is that she is Australian, so all of the examples and stuff in the book are relevant to the Australian market. So she's basically just talking about how you get prepared to buy a property. But anyway, I am rambling on. Like I said, halfway through. We've got 2 weeks to go, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty positive, to be honest, so far. It is currently the 21st of June, and I actually don't even remember the last time that I checked in with you guys to really tell you about my spending. To be honest, we've not really had that much non-essential spending, to be honest. I did buy a chocolate bar last week. It was like $1.25 or something like that, so I did cheat on that day. But aside from that, like, I'm just going through my bank statement, and we had a couple of things come out, like Netflix came out and my gym subscription came out. But aside from that, I really don't think I've been spending much money. Let me check my other account. Yeah, nothing's really come out. I went on the bus, so some of my bus fares came out. They take ages to come out of my account, so I actually couldn't even tell you like when I was getting on the bus. But yeah, I really haven't been spending much money. I'm really excited to see at the end of the month the difference in like my what's it called, my like average outgoings versus what I've actually spent in this month. I am really looking forward to seeing that. In other news, I have just been, in fact, I think I said this maybe at the intro of this video, but one of the reasons that I am trying to do a no spend month is because we are likely going to go home for Christmas again this year. And on top of going home for a week, which by the way is already extortionately priced, trying to travel basically anywhere at Christmas time, especially from Australia, like the flights are honestly ridiculous. We'll probably do a week at home, and then we'll probably do a week somewhere else. So I've just been pricing up our options, so we have no idea yet where we're going to go. And to be honest, actually, all of the options that I just priced up, which was basically like 5 different places, the only one I haven't priced up yet is going skiing, because I don't even know where we would go skiing to start with, to even look at flights or anything else. But the ones that I've looked at are all actually fairly similar in prices. So basically I've looked at New York, Finland, so South Korea and Canada, and they're all like, actually once you add in the flights and the accommodation, they all seem pretty similar, to be honest. So anyway, Stephen's away this weekend, so when he gets back I'm going to show him my spreadsheet with all of my calculations and see what he thinks. I actually need to renew my passport, which is something that I need to pay for. But this is gonna be my first time as an adult renewing my passport, and I don't know how to do it, so I am waiting till I FaceTime my mum and she can help me. But yeah, so that will be an expense that is coming up. In other news, I don't know if I've said this on this vlog yet, I know I said it on TikTok, was about my car is in the garage and there's basically just stuff wrong with it. Essentially, we don't drive the car very frequently, and the mechanic has actually said that because we're not driving the car enough, it's basically getting loads of problems. How many times can I say basically in this one sentence? So at the minute, he has said it's going to be at least $900 to fix. Bear in mind, my car is not worth $900, but it's sort of like pay for the repairs or spend even more money on a new car, and then again, because we don't drive the car enough, we're probably going to end up having similar issues with another car because we wouldn't buy a car firsthand. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, that's a big expense that's going to come out, and my passport renewal is probably going to be another big expense that will come out soon. But anyway, that's the update for the day. We've got, what, how many days are in June? 30 days, half September, April, June, 30 days. So we've got 9 days left of the month. 9 days of no spending left to go. It is June 22nd. It is a Saturday night, excuse the bathroom, but like I said previously, it is freezing at the minute in Sydney. But as we're having a no spend month, that means we need to have plans that don't cost any money. So tonight I actually have the girls coming over. We're gonna have some Mexican food. I've made some enchiladas, which are gonna, well, they still need to go in the oven, and then we've got like some chips and dips, and then I'm gonna attempt to make some churros with some chocolate as well. So that is the plan for the evening. I actually had a bottle of Prosecco in the fridge from, I don't know how long it's been in there for, but anyway, I'm gonna drink that tonight so I don't even have to buy any alcohol. So, another day of zero spend. It is the 26th of June and we are on our final week of this no spend challenge. And let me tell you, that feels good to be on this final stretch. Now, I've got like a couple things to update you on, which I haven't picked up the camera actually in a while to speak to you guys, but the first thing that kind of happened was, I don't know if I've maybe mentioned this, but our car basically was having loads of problems. Anyway, it was in the garage last week and it's going to cost us, well, I say it's going to, we've already paid for it. It was $1,045 to fix. So that's obviously going to be split between two of us. So that was kind of like an unforeseen expense for the month, but it's just like, it is what it is. And next month we have to pay our rego and our insurance. So that's going to be another expense. But anyway, I actually hate having a car. Cars are just so expensive. I don't really need a car. Like I don't drive anyway. I don't like to drive, but Stephen is insistent on us having a car. So that's kind of where we're at with the car. On Sunday, we did a food shop, so that was obviously another big expense. For some reason, our food shop this week was so much more expensive. It was $270, which is like way more than what we would usually spend, but that's because Stephen gave me a list of like all these extra things he wanted this week. So that's where we're at there. I'm trying to think of any other spends, but I really don't think I've had anything apart from the car and the food shop, which is, well, I'm going to consider them both necessary expenses because we obviously have to eat food to live, and the car, like it needed to be fixed, like we literally couldn't drive it. So that's where we're at. We've got one more weekend to go. We are so close to the end of this challenge. It is June 28th, including today, 3 days left of this challenge. And I cheated and I got some food, but I wanted to keep it real with you guys. And yeah, I just basically, we kind of do have food in the house, so this is just like a pure cheat. Like there was absolutely no reason for me to actually do that. However, at the minute, like we don't have a microwave that's working. Like we still just haven't gotten around to fixing the microwave. And I just didn't have it in me to go and cook some food, to be honest with you. I basically just went and had to have some blood tests done. And just like a whole other heap of things that I had to do today. So I was like, I just don't want to cook right now. But we are going to cook for dinner tonight, so I figured I would let myself have a little naughty treat. Anyway, I'm gonna eat this and catch you guys hopefully at the end of the month or the start of next month, because I won't have any more updates for you guys as to how much money I've spent on things I shouldn't be spending money on. We did it. We made it to the end of the no spend month. I'm so happy that that month is over, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Now, I know I've always been rather sensible with money, and I'm not usually the type just to splurge here and there. However, that was hard doing a month with try not to spend any money. And it's really like the little things that you realize along the way that where you usually give in and spend money and you're trying to stop yourself. Like those little things, there's just so many of them that happen throughout the month. I also found that I had a really, really, really boring month, like to the point where it would honestly probably put me off wanting to do another month like that again, because I had basically no social life. Like every weekend I was just trying to do stuff by myself so that I wouldn't be tempted into spending money. It also didn't help that June was a very rainy month, so really the only activities you can do when it's raining is stay inside, go to the bar, or like do other things inside that usually then involve spending money. I don't know if it would be easier in a summer month, because then you've got the temptation of going out and going to a beer garden or whatever. But yeah, it was really tough. And obviously we'll get to my final figures at the end of this video, but I don't know if it was worth it. I mean, like it was and it wasn't. Like it felt good to get it finished, but is the lack of social life worth the extra money saved? And I don't know, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's run through these figures. I've just kind of written everything down on this little piece of paper, so don't mind me if I'm looking away from the camera. But my household expenses, obviously all of that basically stayed the same. So that's rent, health insurance, my phone bill, internet, TV, and my gym. And that came to $1,558 for the month. Now, in terms of the other categories, I basically on my spreadsheet I just have like a list of categories that I look at for everything. And what I've done is I've figured out what my usual monthly average cost is for that category and what I spent in my no spend month in June. So starting off with groceries. So usually in an average month, I would spend $441 on groceries, and I managed to get that down to $328. So that was basically just by utilizing things that we had in the cupboard. I mentioned earlier in this video that the food prices have just gone crazy. Like we're actually in July now that I'm filming this video, and I've obviously done food shops in July, and the cost of my food bill has literally skyrocketed. Like it's crazy. Like everything has just gone up. So I am quite impressed I still managed to keep that down, because obviously, like I just mentioned, the prices are just insane. Transport, meaning buses, trains, etc. On an average month, I spend $26, which isn't really a great deal anyway, but I got that down to $11. So still saved some money there on transport. That $11 was basically just like a couple of buses that I had gotten down or back up from the beach or things like that when I'd been doing activities. Taxis, on average, I would spend $55 a month on Uber or Didi or whatever similar to that. This month I only spent $22. That was only one taxi that I actually got this month, which was on the way back from Imogen's house one night. It was just quite late and I really didn't want to get the bus home. Takeouts, I would usually spend $27 on takeout, which is actually quite low for me. I thought that would be higher, to be honest with you, but maybe we don't eat out as much as I thought we would, or get takeout as much as I thought we did. This month it was $22, and that was on that Domino's pizza that I mentioned earlier in the video that we ended up having to get because the food that we were meant to be eating looked a bit dodgy. Next on the list is entertainment. So this is things like the cinema, bowling, like basically just like activities or things that we do for fun during the day. So on an average month, I would spend $111 on activities, and in June, $0. Which explains why my life has been so boring for the last month. Moving on, eating out is the next category, and on an average month I spend $161 eating out. So that is going out to restaurants, cafes, so like breakfast out, like dinners out, etc., as opposed to takeaway. So I've like separated the two categories. In June I spent $4, and that was on a cup of tea, which is kind of annoying because I actually don't even love getting a tea out in a cafe, but anyway, it happened. $4, it's not the end of the world. Personal care, so that's like nails, makeup, hair, like just like beauty treatments basically. I would on an average month I would spend $80, and in June another $0, so that was good. That one was pretty easy, to be honest. However, I have now ran out of my perfume, so I do need to buy new perfume at some stage. The next is gifts, and on an average month, I would spend $175 on gifts, which is pretty high because I don't feel like I buy gifts for that many people. But what I think that most likely is is big gifts that I've bought on maybe like 1 or 2 occasions, or like for example, actually, so Stephen's birthday was in March. So like the meal that I took us out for his birthday would go in like my gifts category. So that's probably why that number seems quite high. But anyway, in June, I spent 0. I didn't have to buy gifts for anybody in June. For hobbies, which is anything kind of to do with like running or Pilates or my YouTube, anything like that that I consider a hobby, on an average month, I would spend $120. However, in June again, a big 0, which is what we like to hear. Moving on to clothes. Now, back in the day, even maybe like 2 years ago, I was so bad for buying clothes. Every single week, there would be a new order of ASOS, Pretty Little Thing, like whatever it was. I would always be online shopping, always be buying stuff. And it's only really in the last like year or two where I've really sort of felt that that's really unnecessary. Like I have so many clothes, I have a lot of stuff. So I've really tried to limit how much new stuff I buy now. But on an average month, I do still spend about $150 on clothes, and in June it was 0, so that was a nice one to have a 0 for. Then nights out. Now this one is kind of annoying. On an average month I would spend $180 on going out for drinks and things like that. In June, I actually didn't go out in June. However, I had a hen do in July that I had to prepay for. So I had to pay $150 for this hen do. So that's obviously like part of my totals, but technically it was an activity in July, but I've got it on the list anyway. And the final category I have is a bit of a random one, but I separate out Sushi Train on my list, like as opposed to keeping it in takeout or eating out, because I feel like I spend an obscene amount of money in Sushi Train, and I wanted to sort of get into my head that I need to stop going there and just buying sushi here and there, thinking, oh, it's only a little bit of money, it's only a little bit of money. Anyway, on an average month, I spend $37 in a Sushi Train, which actually isn't that bad, but it's still kind of annoying because it's just a waste of money when I have food at home. And in June, I had no Sushi Train, so it was a big 0 again. So overall, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty happy with everything that went on there. I know there was a couple of cheats during the month, but overall, I'm pretty happy with how it all went. Now on to the unexpected costs of the month. So one kind of wasn't really that unexpected. One was my electricity bill, which comes through every quarter. And it just so happened to come through in June whilst we were doing this challenge. So my electricity bill, well, my half of it was $213. So we had to pay that out. And the other thing was the car, which I've mentioned to you guys. So not only did we pay for the car to be fixed, we also had to get our green slip done. So we had to pay for the test for the green slip. So in total, I spent $523 on the car this month, which is so annoying because I don't know if anyone else gets this, but do you ever find when you're trying to save money and be really careful that like some big unexpected cost just comes at you? Like it's always the way and it's so annoying. Anyway, let me not rant about the car anymore because actually it infuriates me that we pay so much money for this little rundown car. Moving on to the more fun stuff. So in June, I invested $600. That's pretty standard for me to invest about $600 a month. In terms of my saving, money that I've saved, I have 2 things that I currently save for. One is for a house deposit and the other one is for traveling. So basically what I like to do in my bank account is have an account that always has money in it so that when I do want to book a holiday, I can use that money rather than A, needing to save up there and then, or B, taking money out of like my main savings account. So in terms of travel savings in June, I managed to save $1,000, which again is kind of pretty standard for what I would try to save. And then in terms of my general savings for the month, I managed to save $2,618. So that is definitely higher than my normal. I actually have my comparisons here. So in terms of my savings, so including the holiday savings and my house savings, I managed to save $3,618. Now, when I compare that to my average month, on average, I save about $3,000. So it jumped up by about $600. And had I have not had to pay for the car, it would have been like an extra $500 higher. But anyway, it is what it is. And then in terms of total expenses, so for an average month, I spend $3,677. and in June I spent $2,832. So it's a difference of about $840, $850 there. Either way, like, I'm still happy with how it went. Very happy that the month is over. I may do one of these videos again at some point, but I think for now I'm just going to be more conscious, like, day to day, but still actually like enjoy my life and have a social life and do things that I actually want to do rather than feeling super restricted. That brings us to the end of the video. If you did make it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.